Welcome to Stories with Lynn. Stories with Lynn are warm stories. My friends say that they're memorable. They urge me to share them with you. I hope you find them refreshing. I hope that you find them a lift for your day. Oh, and be forewarned, because there may be a surprise in them. Because don't all good stories have a surprise in them? Welcome to Stories with Lynn. The best Christmas ever. The best Christmas ever? Oh, that's easy. It was 1960. I was 9, and all of 9 I was. We were in the Columbia Roadhouse. We'd moved there in 1959. I know that because we always had the tree in the family room, the knotty pine paneled family room, glowing against the far wall. At least that's the way my memory remembers it, sharp in all the details, even if the details have now drifted to inaccuracy. That's the Christmas I got my train. Walk with me just for a moment back to 1960, because 1960 was a totally different time than now in many ways. One of those ways was economically. Small bits of money were worth way more then than it is now. Let me see if I can put some perspective on this. In 1967, 7 years down the road from 1960, I would get my first job, strong muscle labor, at a local trailer park for $1.20 an hour. Not bad money at the time. 2 years after that, in 1969, my tuition at Purdue University would be $450 a semester, with $450 out-of-state fees. Room and board was extra. So my weekly allowance in 1960 was maybe a dime, maybe 15 cents, something around there. Now, a 9-year-old boy could do a lot with 15 cents in 1960. A rubber ball, shiny red and new, was 7 cents at the dime store. I remember being there at the toy counter, money burning a hole in my pocket. What to buy? What to buy? Purchasing something is an expression of power, always has been, still is. I have the power with these bits of metal or paper or plastic, what have you, to take something home with me, and it will be mine. So I'm at the toy counter in the dime store, wanting to buy, desiring to buy, having to buy. But what was I to buy? There are only so many rubber balls, even shiny red and new, that a 9-year-old boy wants to own. Oh, but there were many, many other items that were a great stretch, or indeed some far beyond my ability to purchase. There was a sailing ship model, the HMS Victory, that I looked at long and hard, saved for it for months. It was a Revell model, and it cost $4.98. Again, my memory may have faded to inaccuracy, but that is my memory. I finally owned it. I wonder what happened to it. I only remember the anticipation of acquiring it. That was another facet of the economic era of 1960. You didn't have everything. The overall wealth was so much less than it is now. Then there were many things on a wish list. Not so much now. Christmas shopping for my kids is more and more difficult. There's no reservoir of unfulfilled needs or wants. They have it. If they want something, they buy it. They don't wait till Christmas. That makes Christmas shopping much more challenging. So many times now, our presents will be events or special consumables. Last year, I tried something new. I bought my own Christmas present. I knew what I wanted and I went out and I bought it. I had to wait till Christmas Day to open it, which provided some anticipation. But it did lack a little bit on the surprise part of the present. Plus, no one had the joy of giving it. Now, on the other hand, I didn't have to take it back, or I didn't have to get the right size or what I really wanted. Overall, though, I'm not completely sure on this new Christmas present idea, especially the joy of giving it part. It's a work in process. I'll get back to you on it. But that was not the case in 1960. Even though my dad had a very good job at NASA and Mom had many part-time jobs for what she called pin money, there were many, many things that I did not have in 1960 that I wanted very badly. One was a train set. Train sets were far above my ability to afford. They cost, well, they had to cost over $100. And 15 cents a week doesn't even allow a boy to think of owning such a thing. But that didn't mean I didn't salivate pine for one. At Christmas time, the Higbee Company on the square at downtown Cleveland had a whole front window display along Ontario Street with a train layout. Oh, the display stretched on and on. It was a layout with hills and valleys, bridges, tunnels, intersections, trees, and landscape. It had buildings and miniature people on the streets and automobiles. There were multiple trains running, passenger trains and freight trains. Sidings had fascinating cars and locomotives. Don't you wish you could see that one run? I watched for many minutes while my sister tugged at me to continue her Christmas dreams. There were so many stories you could imagine looking into the various scenes and areas and vignettes of the display. What a feast! Nor was I the only one enthralled. People would stand 2, 3 deep out in the snow, wind, and cold to view. I remember the snow, but I do not remember the uncomfort. My eyes, as many others in the crowd, were alive with the wonder. But a train set was way beyond my ken, no matter. Oh, how I longed for it. And then I found a way to get it. In the summer of 1960, Sugar Crisp cereal had a giveaway drawing advertised on the back of the box for a train set. Now, in my family, each child got to choose the cereal the family would buy at the grocery store. I always chose the cereal based on what was on the back of the box. As long as the cereal was within parameters, I mean, even if oatmeal had the greatest ever promotion, I don't think I would have chosen oatmeal. Oatmeal is a later in life choice. But as long as the cereal was child edible, then the romance of the back promotion, a game, a puzzle, or a giveaway, that was the decider. We would sit at the breakfast table with cereal bowls surrounding our bowls, lined up in front of us to read and reread, a theater of romance to guide our imaginations during the meal. So, Sugar Crisp had a drawing for a train set that summer. All entries had to be postmarked by August 31st. This was how I would get my train. I and my family ate Sugar Crisp all summer. Dad, I got your breakfast cereal all set for you this morning. Guaranteed it was Sugar Crisp. My parents must have loathed Sugar Crisp by the end of that summer. Frankly, I still don't have much of a taste for them, but I ate them voraciously then. Then, when the box was empty, I eagerly snipped out the entry form on the back panel. Reproductions? Oh, come on. That would be way in the future. I filled out the entry form carefully, printed completely, and then I mailed it. 3-cent stamp. I must have mailed a dozen or more. I eagerly awaited the day my train would come. I would win, and they would send a letter to me. Or maybe even a telephone call. It would come and it would be glorious, just like the train set in the Higby window. Have another bowl of cereal. This box is almost empty. As the end of the contest approached, my activity became more feverish. I searched the grocery store cereal shelves for the train promotion because by the end of August, Sugar Crisp was offering a new promotion on their boxes. Also, we had a rule in our family that the cereal box couldn't be cut until the box was empty. The box would sag and just be a mess in the cupboard. I'll bet I bent that rule at the end. At last, August 31st came and went. My mom said, it takes a week or two, and remember, the entries have to be postmarked by August 31st. So some still have to arrive there. I counted each day, looking in the mail for my train notification, glancing at the telephone. 2 weeks went by. Is that telephone call for me? No? Okay. 3 weeks. Oh, is there anything in the mail today? No. 3 weeks and more. And then one day, at some moment, I must have come to know some other boy got my train. I was crushed, distraught, very disappointed. My parents tried to comfort me, but how do you comfort a 9-year-old boy? You know, there are times in a child's life when they come to know loss, the death of a pet, the moving away of a best friend, or maybe a time when something so surely within grasp, so very destined to happen, does not come to pass. Somewhere deep within me, I still mourn that train. But little boys are nothing if not resilient. Sunny summer days turn to cool fall afternoons. The baseball field in Dick Hill's backyard morphed into the neighborhood football field. I think that was about the time when we started to wear football pads, the donning of which inspired hero fantasies to new heights. The days became shorter, but certainly not the activity, as we were all physically very, very active. School, YMCA, Boy Scouts, sports. Halloween and Thanksgiving came along. They were separate holidays back then. No one considered Christmas preparations before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was celebrated with all the pomp of pilgrims and turkeys and Plymouth Rock. It was a real holiday all on its own. I think I still may have a turkey portrait based on the outline of my hand from school. Christmas was a time of great anticipation. Maybe I'd get a new baseball in my stocking. I played baseball with many tape-covered baseballs. When the covering got hit off, literally, the lacings would break first, and then the ball would become progressively more floppy until one day the cover would go one way and the ball would sail out into the outfield. But the ball still worked if you covered it with black friction tape, or maybe a new baseball bat. Baseball bats were repaired with bolts through them. They still hit, well, maybe not as well as a new one, but a ball will fly if you hit it square. Or maybe football pads, pants with thigh pads, ones that really fit. We were growing the mite at the time. The Christmas tree would go up in the family room. Light strings with big bulbs that got hot. They would burn you if you brushed up against one. Christmas ornaments that, as they do now, evoke memories of Christmas past. And tinsel, real tinsel, strands of 1/8-inch aluminum foil that was to be hung delicately over the tree boughs. I used to hang tinsel by grabbing a gob and throwing it onto the tree. My mother must have taken the time to unwind and strand those gobs. I don't remember seeing flung balls of tinsel on any Christmas tree. Twinkling lights had just come in. They took a while to warm up and blink. And I remember many a night laying under the tree, watching the blinking lights reflect off the ceiling like fireworks, or to my military-oriented mind, artillery exploded. All of us were military-minded. Our dads were all World War II veterans. Christmas was celebrated joyously and with abandon. The schools would have Christmas concerts with wonderful Christmas carols. I remember the music teacher, Mrs. Faber, hot and irritated one such concert because we murdered O Holy Night. Well, maybe we made up for it on the next carol, or maybe the concert fell apart piece by piece. Those things happen in spite of all the preparation. The church would have all sorts of Christmas decorations and preparations. Weekly services would grow in enthusiasm as the day approached. The high point would be a potluck dinner one Saturday afternoon and evening, close to the 25th, full of squealing, excited children running around. Oh, there were tons of kids, and Santa would show. Along toward the end of the evening, the anticipation building all evening. Suddenly in he would stride, all hale and hearty and bluff and merry and twinkling, a vision in red velvet and white fur, with ho, 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 and white-gloved hands. He'd hand out presents and laugh, his head thrown full back. We were enthralled, even those of us with questions. I remember walking back to the car on those cold evenings after the potluck, along the shoveled sidewalks near the church lined with snow, filled with a joyous spirit, but somehow primed for greater events to come. Would it not be grand to have that very Christmas feeling now, perhaps with a somewhat more mature vision? Christmas Eve was absolutely the longest night of the year. We would be put to bed, no getting up now, and forbidden into the family room till 7:30 Christmas morning. Oh, Mom, does it have to be so late? How we ever got to sleep is still an unknown question to me, but as you know, we did. Christmas morning would awaken light with the knowledge that today is the day. We would race around impatiently. Mom had to make orange juice first. Come on, why does it always take so long? And finally, we would be allowed into the family room. Someone would plug the Christmas tree in, and for a moment we would all gaze at the glory. All the presents were there. They had appeared under the tree all month, but now we knew this was the whole celebration. What a sight! We would move to our own place. Of course, Dad had his chair and Mom hers, but each of the kids would claim a corner of the Davenport or the hassock. The youngest child had the job of distributing the gifts. I looked with joy as my pile grew, or dismay as one of my sister's pile grew faster. And then we would open. Again, this was by age. The youngest first, only one gift at a time, and then the turn would pass to the next. Unwrapping gifts was a careful process. The paper was saved. It was good until it had several years' worth of folds in it, or maybe even a small tear or two. Especially too if the paper was especially beautiful. We would carefully work the tape off the paper. The goal was to remove the tape without marring the pretty wrapping. Oh, what an agony. You chose the present you wanted to open, but sometimes there could be coaching. No, open that one now. I was the second youngest and the second oldest too, and soon it was my turn. Mom or Dad suggested that I open the smaller box first, the one maybe 8 inches or 12 inches long. My first gift on this glorious Christmas morning of 1960 turned out to be a plastic kit of a gas station? Well, that's a dumb gift. It should have been a jet or a fighter plane or maybe a ship. But a gas station? That's dumb. Maybe it was meant for one of my sisters. My sisters don't make models, but I don't play house. Oh my, honey, my mother must have said, glancing at my dad. Maybe we made a mistake. Sure seems so. And on such an important day, too. When it came around to me again, the next present they suggested I open was one of the bigger boxes, kind of heavy, too. Don't shake it, they counseled. Okay, I won't. I was still miffed at the last one. I was probably not too gentle with the wrapping paper. Looking in, there was more than one box within this present. And when I opened the first box, out came a locomotive. Oh, a train set. The locomotive was blue with Lionel proudly displayed along the sides. And track. And a transformer. Oh, I tore through the boxes. And flat cars with military vehicles on them. A tank and a truck. And another was a flat car with a duck. You don't know what that is, but I do. I did. It's an amphibious vehicle that goes through the water as a boat and drives up on land too. And a blue caboose. It matched the engine. Oh, look at this. I squealed as the train set surrounded me on the floor. I examined each car minutely and many times. The gas station was for the train scene that Dad was to build with me. The rest of Christmas Day was a jumble of excitement and plans and hopes and holding, both for me and my train, and the hugging of me to my parents and my parents to me. We set up the circular track right there in the family room that day and had the thrill of seeing it run. I ran it faster and faster as my confidence grew. The glow of the locomotive headlight matched the glow in my eyes and in my heart. I never thought I would have a train, and here it was. The train was set up at our house for many years. Dad and I built that train layout, complete with a papier-mâché hills and tunnel, trestles and bridges, a whole town, not just a gas station crossroads. Truthfully, it was the most fun to wreck the train, as a couple of the turns were dicey at full speed, which was just what I did. I shudder at that now. I still have that train, put away now. It was the best Christmas ever for me, and the memory still graces me. I'll never receive another gift so unexpected, so wanted, so surprising, so fulfilling. It was the best Christmas ever. As a small postscript to this story, in these times, there is much talk of Christmas being a time of sadness for some. It seems to me that life is a mixture of loss and gain. As in this story, I didn't get my train, I got my train. I had the best Christmas ever. It will never come again. Mom and Dad are gone now. They left us with such richness. What are we to focus on? What do you choose? Thank you for joining me at Stories with Lynn. You can help me. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe. That's the lifeblood of these channels. Share this with your friends. Please comment. Tell me what this story invoked with you. What memories did this story bring forth with you? And if you know of other wonderful stories that you would like to hear and see on Stories with Lynn, please put that in the comments. Thanks again. Thank you for joining me at Stories with Lynn.